Hi everyone, Britt here, and today I want to introduce you to Mark and Shanae McDevitt, who I met at the RV Entrepreneur Summit in Fredericksburg, Texas. And I'm very pleased to have them on video because of how they've taken their RV relationship to the next level. Stay tuned.
I'll start. So I'm Shanae and this is Mark. We lived in Austin the past 3 years, but before that we were originally from Pennsylvania. And so we got engaged when we lived in Austin, and it was just this perfect storm of all of these things happening in our lives. But we knew that as soon as we got married, a lot of people were going to be like, well, when are you having kids? When are you buying a house? And so I'm happy for it now, but it really made us sit within ourselves and sit with each other and say, what's on my checklist of life? What's on our checklist of life? And consciously saying, like, I don't want to give other people the power to decide what's on that list or when we check that list. And so we knew we wanted to do tiny living, which maybe you'll talk about that in college and everything. And it just kind of brought it even more to the present.
Yeah, so Shanae and I actually met in college, and I was going through some crazy idea stages of my life where it was just, hey, I got this idea, hey, I got this idea, hey, I got this idea. So originally I had brought up tiny house living to her, and it was pretty funny. At one point she saw that I was creating this floor plan, and she's like, oh, 8 feet. Wait a minute, that means if I were to put my arms out, I could possibly touch one side of the house and the other side.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, well, what do you got to do that for? And then it was one of those clicking moments of like, oh, yeah, I guess you really don't need the biggest bathroom in the world. So that kind of manifested into a whole bunch of other ideas. And then really it came down to, like she had said, we were progressing through these different stages in our lives together, and we're about to get married. And really we were just trying to figure out what we wanted next, as opposed to, being kind of forced into the expectations as opposed to what we were hoping to do.
Were your friends also having those kinds of questioning? Is that pretty much what part of what's going on with your age group now?
Oh, you mean like the kids and the house question?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean, what would you say?
I would. I would say it's interesting, depending on which friend I speak to, kind of who's more open to talking about that. I have one friend that's actually recently engaged and is getting married, and he's actually really excited about all of those endeavors. So for him, maybe the house was kind of one of those things that, was what he wanted in life. Whereas I have another friend who is completely fine renting an apartment and is more, want to focus on myself before I can give to his significant other. So it's interesting to see different perspectives.
Yeah.
But yeah, so my experience before we even got engaged was a lot of, well, when are you getting engaged? And I don't think people realize that how it can be very insensitive or push those expectations on you. I had friends or family that couldn't get pregnant, and as soon as they got married, it was, when are you having kids? And they're like, oh man, like, it's not a conversation starter, which most people want it to be. Yeah. It's a conversation ender, and it could put people on the defense or like in a really uncomfortable space for them. Yeah. So we were aware of that and just wanted to say, hey, this is what we want to do, and we're going to do it.
I imagine there's lots of conversations going on around here with the younger couples about that aspect of it. Like I've even heard Heath and Alyssa talk about their parents not really being on board with all this. So.
It's definitely a challenge because, there's different thoughts, different values associated with different age groups and where they've, where they started, how they were raised. But yeah, it's interesting to hear other people, even in their 30s, having the conversation with their parents who are even older and having that same similar, we're not completely on board. You want to bring my grandchild away from me?
But the interesting thing is, like, everybody's idea of success is different. And especially generations before us, this was something you did when you retired after you earned it. And so it's really hard for people to break down barriers or like preconceived notions of when you should be doing what. And so you just have to, we had to be comfortable enough in ourselves to say, this is our dream. We're still living a full life. We're just doing it how we want to. And I mean, even today I talked to my mom and she's like my biggest cheerleader ever. Like, well, you know, your uncle just asked me when you're going to settle down and I just told him, you know those two, I don't know if they ever will. But so it's great when you have those few cheerleaders that are like, always have your back. No matter how crazy the idea seems, they're always there for you. And so my mom's that for me, and obviously Marcus too.
Tell me a little bit about how RV life has impacted your relationship.
I would say it's brought us closer together. We were very close beforehand, so it's kind of interesting to see that baseline of, you know, we've lived in an apartment together for almost 2.5 years. Even before that, we were together in back in Pennsylvania. So we were close, but I think one of the things that I like the most about it is because I'm working remotely from here, we just get so much more time together. So where I was leaving for work and I was just like, oh, okay, I'll see you in 8 hours, and it was challenging because even when I was in the office, you know, it's difficult to be present doing work and then also trying to respond to your significant other. Hey, how's your day going? And it's almost more like, it's just okay, it's 11 o'clock, I should probably text her and see how she's doing. So now it's just much more natural to just, you know, oh, I can see that you're having a rough day, or, you know, what can I do to help, or, oh my gosh, she's having a blast over there, I need to pick me up. So I would say I really enjoy having more time together, and then also because we've spent so much time together, we can go out and do fun things after work's finished, so it just breaks it up even more.
We're so much more in tune with each other. Like you said, we're always been very close and like open and communicating, but normally your job, you spend the majority of your life in whatever job you're doing. So if you are a brick and mortar job worker, you are in your apartment, and then you get into your car, and then you go to work, and so you just spend your life in these different boxes. But you always really want to be at, like, whichever one you start and end your day at. So this has just been a way to say, well, this is our home base, and we're tethered to this RV, which allows us to go to so many different places together. And you nailed it on the head. Like, we'll vibe off of each other all day. Yeah. Like, we both have great days, we both have horrible days, and because, like, he's not in some complete other building across Austin having a horrible day, I can't impact him positively from that far away. But if he's in that chair right there and I can tell he's super down, I can say,
get up,
you know
go
what?
For a walk.
Yeah, go for a walk. Or, we've been meaning to go do this thing. It's just about lunchtime. Let's get on the bikes. Let's do a state change. Let's shake it off and then come back and be ready. And I still think, like, we still enjoy doing a lot of the same things we did before, like, getting out. We still enjoy cooking together. There's definitely more obstacles with that in the RV, but...
Coming through, hot plate.
Oh, yeah. Behind! So...
Yeah, that's been interesting. It's almost like working in a restaurant. Coming from behind. Hot this.
You kind of learn how to dance.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Very much so.
Mm-hmm.
And not be offended, like, if somebody bumps into you or, like...
Mm-hmm. Like, in my way. No, it's just like, I need to get through.
Yeah, right.
Our kitchens have gradually gotten smaller as we started in Austin with a big kitchen, and it was like, oh, I got all the room in the world. And our next apartment, a little bit tinier, and this one, obviously, as you can see, is a little bit more of a challenge.
Just enough.
Yep,
yeah,
it really is.
It's really, we kind of look at it as, it's there, it serves its purpose, and hey, it works for us.
It makes us communicate. It's like when we were dating for almost 4 years before we got engaged. Mark was really big on, like, we need to have trials in our relationship before we decide to take on the biggest trial of marriage, which in hindsight, I really appreciate. So then as soon as we got engaged, we were, like, at a thrift store, and we found this little book with all these questions, and, like, hard questions that most people, like, push aside, and they're like, I just would rather not, like, but even before we got married, we were like, okay, let's have these conversations. What does a home look like? You know, money questions. Nobody likes to talk about money. I hate talking about money. He is like, let's do it. Let's have the hard conversations. Then we get into the RV, and we get to morph all of those questions into this new space of, well, we said before, a huge thing to make home is like our kitchen. We love eating together. We love how food brings people together. And so we had to look at the RV, and you know, there used to be a chair over there. And so we were on the same page about like, this is our space. We're removing this entire chair. You're building this thing that goes there and is a stand-up desk, but also is a countertop.
Yeah, 'cause we don't have that.
Yeah. So it's just like a continual cycle of talk, tweet, talk.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
You don't tweet each other, do you?
Tweak.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey,
He's up here and now talk.
Luckily.
Change, I should say.
Hello! Is anybody out there?
that's funny.
But it's silly how quickly we miss each other. Like if he's working up here and I'm working back there and I have like the divider door open, an hour goes by and I might playfully be like, oh, I miss you. But you get used to seeing the person that much. They're like, oh man, I do.
Yeah, I totally understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
So I think we've kind of answered this. How has it deepened your bond? Just you want to be together. You want to share your experience.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So we all know RV life can be challenging.
Mm-hmm.
And do you remember the first time you realized, wow, it's just the two of us now, and we got to figure out everything together?
I would say it was after we left home.
We left
really
Philly.
left, yeah. So we kind of were in that, okay, like this used to be a place where we could stop, and we knew if anything happened, we had time to kind of figure things out at our own pace, as opposed to when we disembarked, it was really okay, there's no ripcord anymore here. This is all on us.
So when we started initially, we spent, 4 months in the Northeast, and we're from the Northeast. So what you mean is like that whole 4 months, you're like, this is really cool, but like if the RV breaks down, we're only 10 miles from our parents. Like it couldn't be that bad.
Yeah.
So you mean
Having left there and really
in December.
And just kind of saying, okay, and even furthermore, Florida is a hot spot for her, just because she has family there.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, even leaving Florida has been like, well, we're making our way back to Texas, and we really got no support function other than the two of us. So, for me, that would be it.
Have you guys hit a huge bump in the road as far as a challenge where, like, things got tense and stressed and you had to work through that?
Yes, and luckily it was before we made it too far away from home. But even then, we pretty much relied on each other to kind of get through it. It's one of those things where we wanted to take the challenge as our own, as opposed to kind of having to bring other people in on it.
Mm-hmm.
And we kind of just looked at each other and said, woosah, and let's go fix this flat.
Yeah, I think we learned after the first few like technical problems with the RV, one of us always has to keep a calm head. Like we can't both be running around like, ah! So within the first 2 days of embarking on our journey, it rained every day. We needed to move the RV, and then we get to a spot in Maine, and this was maybe day 2 or 3, and the water valve wouldn't work, so we couldn't fill with water, and we were low. And it was one of those moments where I was calm. Probably because I have no idea what's going on. He's freaking out.
We're not gonna have water for the next 6 months.
And I'm like, it's
how are you calm right now?
It's a Friday. All of the RV, they're all
We're gonna be here for
closing.
2 weeks. We gotta go.
So it was all fine. Like I was calling around, like you need to calm down. But he ended up buying a pair of pliers and
I was
just
like, oh, this thing's just spinning on itself. I unscrew it and like, oh, this is a quick fix. And it's like, it's working.
yeah. And so
Babe, I figured it out.
Call off the panic.
Exactly.
Literally.
But like we can't both freak out with whatever it is. Like, our first blown tire. The water thing, I think, taught us that because it was super quick. And people talk about, you see all the nice stuff, and then you get into the RV and how quickly you have that first, ruh-roh. And then you just look at each other and you're like, okay.
What do I do?
Yeah. But we were in Massachusetts, and we're driving, and I knit while we drive, so all of a sudden there's this huge explosive noise, and Mark's like,
I'm like, we're feeling the vibrations, and I'm like, instantly start moving over and like getting out of the way, and she's looking at me like, what just happened? I'm like, yep, I think we just blew a tire.
and it all worked
Yeah, we
out.
were 15 minutes away from where we were trying to get to.
Oh, that was
It
the worst
like,
part.
Ugh,
We were
we
so
almost
close.
made it.
But I think we've learned somebody has to keep their calm, and it's never the end. Like, it's never the end all or like the worst possible situation. Like, even before we started RVing, we decided we're not letting fear of things, like not even real fear of things, decide what we're going to do. So like, okay, a tire just blew. And I mean, and always stay positive. So a wedding gift we got from one of my best friends was this huge box of different bottles of mostly wine, but some alcohol, and they all had a tag on them for when you were allowed to drink them. And one of them, the Fireball, was when you have your first flat tire in the RV.
Flat tire, yeah.
And like a month before this, we were at a liquor store, and Mark's like, it's almost fall, like I know you love Fireball in the fall, would you like some? And I said, no, we have a bottle of Fireball, like I don't want it to happen, but like I'll just wait, because then we're going to have an entire bottle.
Because it's going to happen.
Exactly. And so, I mean, once everything was handled, Mark looked at me and went,
Let's break that bottle open.
and it's been perfect so many different times in our trip. Like, oh, and you see the leaves change, and like she knows I can't wait to get to Washington State. So like when we get to Washington, like there's a bottle of red wine that I like.
Waiting for us.
Yep. Like when you just need a nice night out, like just.
It was a good gift.
It was
it was
really
very,
one of
very
my
thoughtful.
favorites.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. So you've talked about working as a team. Your communication skills have developed because you're an RVing couple.
Mhm.
And
Oh yeah,
So
I'm not
she-
a mind reader. Neither of us are mind readers.
Yeah.
That was like, you know that before you RV, but then afterwards, even with traveling places, like, well, I just assumed you knew that this is what we were gonna do, but you didn't say it. Oh, okay. Well, this is what I want to do, or what I think we
We're
should
doing
do.
here. We need gas.
well, you guys have got it figured out.
We're trying.
Yeah. Fake it till you make it.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
huge. I was a teacher before this, so that's just the big mantra.
Right. Yeah. Perfect.
Yeah.
So what do you think the biggest benefit to your relationship is because you're RVers?
I'll let you go first. I gotta ponder on that.
The
one.
biggest benefit to our relationship now that we're RVers.
Do you want me to go?
If you have
I
something,
think
yeah.
I got one.
Go.
I would say the biggest benefit I see is just getting to do these adventures together. It was something we've always wanted to do. We wanted to travel together. And before it was, we were back in Austin. We loved Austin. It was a really great city. But a lot of times it was, okay, we got vacation time. Let's head back to Pennsylvania and see all of our folks and family and friends.
Mm-hmm.
So we really didn't get to experience the adventure side of things. And I remember it was Thanksgiving time, and she had booked us for the Grand Canyon. And it was like okay, we're not going to see family. This is weird.
Mm-hmm.
But it was such an amazing trip, and we loved it. And it was things that we just wanted to do. Being in a park, just walking together and just experiencing it all and taking it in. It's our happy place. So, the fact that we get to do that on a much more regular basis is, I think, the major benefit for me, being in an RV, is because, our next adventure is in a park.
Right around the corner.
Yeah.
Yep, going to Big Bend.
3 hours away, practically.
I think for me the biggest benefit in our relationship being in an RV is that in general I think life you naturally try to find like rituals or habits, and those can be really good things. Like I have some morning rituals that I like have to do to start my day, but in some ways that can make you become complacent, and like in your personal life and your relationships with others and your business or whatever it is. So the fact that our home is always moving and we're generally somewhere for only 2 weeks, it constantly makes us reevaluate, okay, our belongings. Do we still hold value in this thing? Well, when we were at the last park, you picked this up in the free whatever. Like, do we really need this? And so it's honed in our communication, but like the not having the ritual of being in one place has made us constantly reconnecting with each other and communicating a permanent ritual in more ways than it has ever been, because we have to.
There's no way around it.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Otherwise, it's not going to be fun.
Oh yeah,
No.
and then it's and you're arguing with each other about silly things, and life's too short.
Yeah, we continue to even check off what do we want. Like, we listened to a speaker that had a list, and it said, we'll go outside at least 30 minutes a day. And we looked at each other and went,
We do that.
we do that. That's awesome. Call your mom. Yeah, and it just the constant, okay, could we go outside more? Yeah.
Of course.
Well, are you going to hold me accountable? Like, are we going to make each other go outside more? Because it's very easy if you're on the computer and you're working, like,
I can't do it right now.
you're just, like, in the zone. Like, nope, I can't. So, and just...
We even did it today. Yeah, we were
Yeah.
kind of like, it's so nice outside. Like, we've been inside all day, all morning. It's like, hey, you want to just go? We'll go up, use the free internet, and just get out. Sit in the hammock for 5 minutes. And it's a state change. It just kind of brings you back to life sometimes.
And always moving, there's always new opportunities to be spontaneous or be sweet to each other. Like, the other day, I offhandedly said, like, oh, I got this sticker, but I was really wanting this other one. I threw it out there just as, like, an afterthought. 2 days later, Mark swings by and just sets it on the table. I saw it. I remember you said that you wanted it. It's just like those little moments that you have even more opportunities to say, I'm present, I love you, let's live a good life together.
So that's a big contrast from the life you had before, which was wonderful and beautiful,
Yeah.
but
Oh, yeah.
even more now.
It's amplified everything.
Yeah.
Everything's just amplified on a...
Which is funny because it's a tinier space.
Amplified?
Isn't that ironic?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you have your priorities so clear. It's not like, oh, we're busy buying stuff and building, all our stuff up. That takes a lot of time.
It does.
Oh my gosh.
Energy, money, next thing you know it, we just worked an entire year, but we got all these belongings.
All the things you think you need. Like,
Yeah.
we knew very soon, like, I don't want to have the job where I have to have the big house because of the people that I work with or the crowd that I'm in. I need to have the better job that pays more money to have the bigger house, but I can't spend time in the house because I'm always at work, and I need a better job so I can fill the house, and then I don't have the time to take off and go do things with you. You're like, no, I would make less. I would take a cut in so many different ways just to be able to do more with you and spend more time with you.
I don't remember. Do you guys have a travel blog?
Our handle's Trail Mix and Chocolate. So
Okay.
we're on Instagram.
You want to tell about it?
Sure.
Yeah.
Go ahead and
Take
tell
it away.
the camera.
Okay, so we're Mark and Shanae McDevitt. Our handle's Trail Mix and Chocolate. We're on Instagram right now, thinking about starting up a blog, but mostly right now we blast it all on Instagram because we're very visual people, so we love to take pictures of things and just put a short snippet out of this was our experience. And it's also a Facebook page.
Oh, it is?
Okay.
Yeah, we love sharing it with family and just everybody gets to experience it.
Great.
Oh yeah, so grateful for our family because we might not have started a handle, but they were very like, okay, we'll support you in this thing, but how can we know where you're at? How can we know what you're up to? And we said, okay, let's think of a fun name. Let's do Trail Mix and Chocolate, and because we're seeking a sweet life of adventure, and just put it on there.
Great. Thank you guys so much.
Of
you.
course.
I really appreciate
Thank
you
you.
doing this.